You're listening to the REI Marketing Nerds Podcast, the leading resource for real estate investors who want to dominate their market online. Dan Barrett is the founder of AdWords Nerds, a high-tech digital agency focusing exclusively on helping real estate investors like you get more leads and deals online, outsmart your competition, and live a freer, more awesome life. And now, your host, Dan Barrett.
All right, hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the REI Marketing Nerds Podcast. As always, this is Daniel Barrett here from AdWordsNerds.com. And if you need help getting more motivated seller leads online, you know where to go. It's AdWordsNerds.com. It is lovely to see you. Lovely to see you this week. I'm so happy you are here. This week, we're going to talk a little bit high level, and I want you to stick with me because this is going to be an immediately actionable podcast. I'm going to give you something to think about and do. But I want to take a step back and orient you a little bit in what is happening in the online marketing world, in the real estate investing world, and just in the world in general. I view one of my jobs on this podcast as letting you know about developments in the tech world and the marketing world that are going to affect you as a real estate investor. I think that's why people listen to this show. So we're going to get a little bit high level because I think you need to understand the high level, and then we're going to talk about what you can do about it. All right. Now, if you are paying it any kind of attention right now, things in the kind of tech world are all over the place. As I'm recording this, Facebook is dealing with whistleblower scandals, and there's, I always say like the only bipartisan issue in American politics is that everybody hates big tech, right? For various reasons. Conservatives hate big tech because they think conservative views are being deplatformed. Liberals hate big tech because they think that they give, a mouthpiece and a megaphone to misinformation of various types. I mean, there's people that are concerned about privacy and people that are concerned about security and all sorts of different issues. These are all incredibly important issues, okay? Incredibly important. But if you're only paying attention to the hubbub that is our current tech ecosystem, and I do think that in the next 10, 20 years, we will likely see some kind of regulation of big tech that will, hopefully keep spurring growth and innovation and all these things. But, put that to the side for a moment. Put that to the side. What are the big tech companies thinking about, worried about, and moving towards? Well, what they are increasingly moving towards is an intensely algorithmic and artificial intelligence driven future. When you look out at these big channels, Google, Facebook, Apple, right? When you look at these huge players, what you see are industries and companies that are essentially data stores. And on top of those data stores sits artificial intelligence. Now, artificial intelligence is a word that can mean a lot of things depending on who's defining it. Here, I'm basically just saying it's some kind of combination of machine learning, a learning algorithm that is then going to make some kind of decision based on what it sees. Okay, so for example, if you are on Facebook, Facebook is gathering constant data about everything that you do, everything that you like, how long that you spent on it, what you watched, how long you watched it for. It's feeding that into basically a giant database. And no person is really looking at that, your individual data points. Instead, what's happening is the algorithm is looking at it, and it's learning over time. It throws something out onto your timeline to see if, it improves your time on Facebook number. And if it does, it gives that a little positive score. And over time, decisions emerge. Things on your timeline take on a certain tone or a certain hue. You start to see certain types of content more, right? These are decisions being made by a computer, a big brained computer, right? Now, artificial intelligence in many ways is a lot less intelligent than people think it is. But there are certain types of tasks that artificial intelligence is very, very good at. Spotting patterns, figuring out correlations, making predictions. These are some things that artificial intelligence can do with a better accuracy than people can do. All right. Now, all of these companies understand that. And all of these companies also understand that we right now are in the absolute beginning stages of what artificial intelligence will be. We are in the stone age of artificial intelligence. And that's with increasingly complex, artificial intelligence tools and open source tools and stuff that's available to you, the consumer. You can start to tap into this stuff now for very cheap, but we're only in the beginning. This is the absolute beginning. So these companies all understand that. And so whatever their business model is today, Facebook sells ads, Google sells ads. I don't think any of that's going to change. Whatever, Apple sells phones and apps and everything, right? But whatever their business model is today, you can think of what they produce almost as waste or exhaust or a byproduct of that process of making money. That's the data, right? Google's showing you search results and serving you ads. The byproduct is the data you produced by using their product. Facebook's generating content and giving you a way to, like baby pictures and send your mom a message. But the byproduct is the data of the stuff that you liked and what you looked at. So you can think of these big companies almost like factories, and the smoke that they're producing, the byproduct is the data. Now, in the factory metaphor, the waste is something you want to get rid of, right? The smoke goes up the smokestack, you send it into the sky, or you do carbon recapture, whatever you're doing. You're trying to get rid of it. But if you can recapture and use that byproduct, it can be incredibly useful. For example, if you are a logging company that is cutting down trees and then bringing them into the factory and putting them through the sawmill and getting out planks on the other side, the byproduct you produce is sawdust. And you can simply eliminate that, throw it in the dump or whatever, or you can recapture it and reuse it. You could turn it into paper. You could sell sawdust to people that are trying to, soak up gasoline spills or whatever. Right? You can do something with the waste and you can make additional revenue. And sometimes that way of producing additional revenue ends up being more valuable than the thing you were initially doing. This is the case when the paper you make from the sawdust ends up being more valuable than the plank of wood it came from. Now, for all of these tech companies, whatever they are doing now, what they are really focused on and what they are really producing are proprietary data sets. Big, big piles of data, numbers, patterns, behavior. That's the byproduct, but it's also the point. That's the thing that they are banking on. Now, why are they banking on it? Because we don't know what we're going to be able to do with artificial intelligence in the future. It blows my mind to even think about the possibilities. But we all know that no matter what artificial intelligence can do, what is it going to need in order to do that? It's going to need data. It's going to need numbers. It's going to need patterns. It's going to need behavior. Artificial intelligence is only as intelligent as the data set you give it. So all of these companies are in a race to produce the biggest and most valuable and most comprehensive data set. That's the game they're playing.
Want to find motivated seller leads online, but don't know where to start? Download our free Motivated Seller Keyword Report today. AdWords nerds have spent over $5 million this year researching the most profitable keywords for finding motivated seller leads. And you can grab these exact keywords when you download our report at www.adwordsnerds.com/keywords.
Now, the reason that I bring this up is because I truly think that in the future, and I'm not talking about the distant future, I'm talking about the very near future, in the future, being reliant on someone else's data set is going to be a massive liability. It's going to be a massive liability. If the decisions you need to make in your business are reliant on information that you need to buy or lease or rent from someone else, and then that information is also available to your competitors, it's going to be very, very hard to get a competitive advantage. So I look at everything that I do in AdWords Nerds. AdWords Nerds, that's my agency. We work with investors. We only work with investors. We only do motivated sellers. We produce, as a byproduct of that process of delivering deals to our clients, we produce a lot of data. Which keywords in which formats get how much volume? Which keywords in which formats and which positions get the clicks? Which landing pages get conversions? And why was that? And what kind of conversion? Was it a phone call or a click on a mobile link or a form fill or a chat or something else? We produce as a byproduct a lot of data. And it's been incredibly important for us over the last couple of years to collect and gather and start to analyze that data. Now, I will be honest, today, it can often be hard to use that data wisely. It's hard to know what to do with it. There are limited ways in which you can feed that data back into the lead generation process. There are ways, but they're kind of hard, or they're technically demanding, or, it's just kind of finicky. But we are moving to a world, and you can see this happening in Google for sure right now. It's certainly happening in Facebook as well. We are moving to a world where you are reliant on their algorithm to deliver you leads. Even if we set up your ads and we manage it, and we manage your landing page, and we manage your bids, and we manage, all this stuff. Ultimately, what's running on the back end is Google's algorithm. Well, Google's algorithm is only as good as the data set that you give it. So if you can give it a complete and comprehensive and extensive data set, well, that means that algorithm is going to perform better for you than it's going to perform for your competitors. Historical data is the new keyword. Everything used to be, what keyword are you choosing, and which keywords do you select, and what keywords and which match types? And yes, that's still important, but I'm going to be honest, folks. I'm going to be totally honest with you. Our best performing campaigns, they got way less keywords than you think they do. Way less. Because we don't really rely on keywords anymore. We rely on historical performance data. Very different game. Very different game. And very different results. So here's the thing. As a process of your real estate investing business right now, you are producing data as a byproduct. Every click you generate, every lead you generate, every contact you generate, every appointment you generate, every deal you generate, this is data. This is data that an artificial intelligence could one day sit on top of and help you make extremely valuable decisions. How much should you bid for this house? How much will you make from this deal? How much should you pay for a lead? Now, I'm not telling you that those tools are ready today. There are some tools that are really cool and valuable. We use a whole bunch of them. I highly guarantee you get into consumer artificial intelligence. It's fascinating. But like I said, it's the Stone Age. We're in the Stone Age. But even though we're in the Stone Age now, we're not going to be there for very long. And when we get to where we're going, you're going to wish you had the data set already. You're going to wish you had been collecting it all along. You're going to wish you had prepared. So here's the thing. You can start building your custom data set right now. Right now. My dad always used to say this. The best time to plant a tree is 10 years ago and today. So start doing it now. Well, if you're asking yourself, well, how do I do that? Look, a couple easy things you can do. One, get a real basic set of website analytical tools. Just set them up and forget about it. I would suggest Google Analytics and Google Search Console. Real easy to set up. They're free, and you just set them and forget them, and they're going to collect everything that you're going to need on your lead flow and yada, yada, yada. If you've got a CRM, you can export your lead data from that CRM. I would just start putting all the leads and their status and their information, every bit of information you get from every lead, export all that stuff into a spreadsheet. CSV format, Excel format, Google Sheet format, whatever. Just start collecting it. And look, you don't know what format it's going to need to be in, and you don't know what you're going to wish you had to collect and yada, yada, yada. You're not going to know the specifics. That's okay. Just get started. For us at AdWords Nerds, every single lead we generate, we track, time of day, the day of the week, obviously, right? We get the name, the email, and the phone number, and the address, right? We get all the second step form stuff, like if they're motivated and whatever we can learn about the property. Then we get the channel, Google, Facebook, Bing, whatever. Then we get the campaign. Then we get the ad group. Then we get the keyword. Then we get the device. We pull everything. Then we're starting to pull now, working with our clients. Did you contact them? Did you close them? How much did you make? We could start to feed that data back into Google. That makes Google smarter. That makes Google better for us at getting leads for our clients. This is the name of the game, folks. And like I said, we're only in the beginning. So no matter how you get started, just think to yourself, I am generating data. Everything I do, I'm generating data every minute of every day. How can you capture that for your business so you can profit off of your own data rather than just giving that to the big tech companies so that they can do it and pocket that money for you? Think about it, because this is going to be one of those things you are going to wish you did. I hope that makes sense. I hope this was useful. As always, you can go over to AdWordsNerds.com for a ton more podcast episodes like this. Plus, we've been doing blog posts. I've been posting all the time, long form stuff on every single type of real estate investor marketing. I highly suggest you go check us out at AdWordsNerds.com. Just click the link that says blog and check it out. As always, I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you listening to this podcast every week. I will see you next time. Cheers.
This is the podcastfactory.com.